So real quick, we want to get into what we call the banter topic of the week. But we're talking about the greatest Rodman era. He's been through a lot of eras, and even now seems to be rivaling only Taylor Swift in terms of the amount of eras he's been through. It's wild. And we only said Taylor Swift to make sure we get clicks. If you're a Swiftie, like, subscribe, follow, all of those things. Unicorn Big, greatest Dennis Rodman era. What have you got?
So this is tough. I could take different positions
It's
on
not that
this.
tough.
I'm not going to go with the Lakers, considering he only played 23 games for them.
But you're definitely going the Mavs, though, right?
Not going with the Mavs,
Oh, okay, yeah.
although a great 12-game stint from the stat point of view, maybe not from attitude and team working point of view. I know everyone's going to want to go with the Bulls, but
Which one?
I've got to go with Detroit. I
Uh,
mean,
this
he
is
won.
homerific. We love this.
It's a little homerific, but if you look at it, 2 All-Star games, 2 titles, 2 Defensive Players of the Year, and he spent the first, 3, 4 years splitting time with Adrian Dantley and didn't get a full starter role until after those first 2 championships. And when he did, he started putting up amazing rebound numbers. That's when the league rebounding title streak started. I think it was his last 2 or 3 years in Detroit. The dude started pulling down 17 a game. So before he was pulling down the most rebounds in the game, and he was only pulling down 9 or a game off the bench, he was winning Defensive Player of the Year off the
Yes.
bench. Off
Yes.
the bench.
Yes.
And if we look at Adrian Dantley, people forget about this guy. He went to 6 All-Star games and is in the Hall of Fame. So before he got traded in the first Bad Boys era,
Yes.
you had him, you had Joe Dumars, Isaiah Thomas, Dennis Rodman, all on the same team, 4 Hall of Famers, all on the same team. And Adrian Dantley would get pulled from games at the end of the games to get to have a bigger defensive presence. And Adrian Dantley, one of the reasons he was dissatisfied on the Pistons and had a bad attitude is because Rodman was getting his playing time. And Rodman, if anything knows anything about Rodman, he wasn't much of a scorer. But he would get his playing time. And so they traded AD away, and Rodman got more playing time because he was that good defensively.
Yes.
So I don't think that the Bad Boys exist
No.
without Dennis Rodman, and they wouldn't exist without Bill Laimbeer or Rick Mahorn either. Those guys were absolute pricks, to say the least. But Dennis, when he was on the Pistons and when he was on the Spurs and the Bulls and probably the Lakers and the Mavericks too, he would go for every ball that was going in the stands. He would go for, and so to me, if you look at the whole thing, and he played the most years of his career there, and his numbers retired by the Pistons, I've got to go with Detroit.
Okay. I'm going to go with a different era. I'm going to go with the Hollywood era. Now, this spans a special time in Hollywood love, starting with Double Team, where he was partnered with Jean-Claude Van Damme in an 11% movie by Rotten Tomatoes, followed up by what some people call a sequel. Neither of them have a plot deep enough to call it a serious sequel, but that's going into Simon Says, where he was with Dane Cook. That's a 0% on Rotten Tomato. And then one that doesn't qualify the minis. I'm not going to get into the plot of that one because it's problematic. But I think the Hollywood career of Dennis Rodman is really where he shined and really where he made his legacy known and cemented. And I just don't think there's much dispute to that.
Yeah, folks, Gax is making funnies tonight.
Yes, that's what I do.
So there's a lot of favorite, and I'm digressing now, but there's a lot of favorite Rodman moments. I highly recommend listening to his autobiography. He wrote it during his first year with the Bulls. It's an
Yes.
hour and 8 minutes long. It does not take long. It's a fantastic listen.
1.2 times you'll be through it quickly.
But in 97, 98, this is probably my favorite Rodman story. 97, 98, they are in the NBA championship, going for their second three-peat in 8 years. And media day comes, I think before game 5 or game 6, and Dennis Rodman is nowhere to be found. Where is he? He was in Detroit with the WCW and the NWO doing professional wrestling.
Yep.
Like
that, I think that technically falls into my era.
Yes,
we'll call it. We'll just call it showmanship.
Yeah, well, he was with Hollywood
era.
Hulk Hogan, so R.I.P. R.I.P.
But Suburban Commando, also a solid movie that involved Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea.
There was this one story of this one might be even better. This was during his time with the Bulls, I think maybe first or second season, I think 96, 97. And he gets hurt. And they say, Dennis, go straight to California to start your rehab. And in order to make sure he did that, they sent somebody with him to make sure that that plane landed in California.
And not in Vegas.
So this guy, oh, there's that story too. So this guy, I can't remember his name, says, all right, Dennis, we're going straight to California. No detours. Well, they land in Dallas and they go party for 2 straight days. They go to Vegas and they go party for 2 straight days. They're like hopping all across the U.S. partying for like a week. And they finally get to California and this guy's like, I think I'm going to lose my job.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't, I said on a previous last episode, I think he's one of the best of all time.
Yes.
But from a character perspective, has there ever been a better character with the basketball ability to back it up than the Worm?
No, I know there's not. Not to back it up. And I think there were issues at the time that he was his best that people just thought he was so eccentric and it didn't make sense, because one thing that's always been an issue with basketball is we don't have, as common people who watch the game, we don't have the eye to understand defense because there's not statistics to back it up. Like you don't see points per game. Rebounds are a number, but for the most part, how we as general fans judge defense is not quite clear. And if you watch The Last Dance, going to more filmography, the way that he breaks down how he sees rebounds, how he sees the ball coming off the rim, coming off the glass, sort of his approach to how it's all savant-like in terms of the way that he understands the defensive nature of the game, and it doesn't show up in the box score. So some of those eccentricities, especially in the 90s and the early 2000s, they just don't play as well with the public because they don't understand. He's not out there putting up 30 points. So you're not like, oh, we can put up with this because he's insane. He is that good and better at what he does than really anyone in the history of the NBA besides Draymond. You know how I feel.
Moving on.
And people who have been around for an episode or two know. But those are the eras, right? We've got the Pistons, we've got the Hollywood era. We've covered it all with Rodman.